like to invite everyone to stand for the pledge to the flag, please. All right. Welcome everybody to the August 16th meeting. I think to start off, I'd like to congratulate Commissioner Gibbons for his hard work of 53 years of being married.
Not being said.
Yes. 53 years. My gosh, that's a lot of work. Okay, minutes of the August 2nd meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second, and any discussion on those minute meetings? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We also had a special workshop. Minutes of the July 26th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Financial report and payment of the bills. Do we have a motion to approve the financial report?
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on the financial report? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, I think we've been putting this on every agenda, and we'll continue to put it on the agenda. The discussion of collective bargaining for non-sworn employees. I think at our last meeting, we set forth that our direction was to have the public hearing on September 6th at 6 p.m., and we have that scheduled. So that'll be our meeting that we want to get some public input before we make a final decision for our employees on what direction we're going to go. But we are going to be meeting on September 6th to give some input, allow the residents of the town of Elkton to give some input. You guys have anything else to comment or say in regards to that? I don't know. Were they to be on the agenda today?
No, that wasn't a request, just as you said, just continuing to keep it on the agenda so it's
We were under the impression that it was both days, but that's what we thought it was.
There are a few residents here that would like to speak if you'd be so inclined.
Well, listen, I'd absolutely like to do that then. So here's what we're going to do. So this isn't considered, well, we're in a public hearing. So I'm going to give the floor, I will give the floor to anyone that would like to come up and speak in favor or against the collective bargaining rights for non-sworn employees. But when you come up, please come up and state your name and your address and tell us why you believe it's the right way to go or the wrong way to go. Anyone? Come on down. Oh, yeah, that's a little later.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioner. My name is Amanda Kibler. I live at 127 Independence Drive. My husband and I are very invested in this town. We live here with our family and our 2 kids. He's worked for this town for over 2 years, and we're raising our family here and building our life here. If anyone is impacted by passing a collective bargaining, it's us and other families like ours. I would like to tell you today why I support a charter amendment to expand rights to employees. I support collective bargaining because I want my kids to be able to play in the parks and be safe. I want to have safe sidewalks to walk down, safe roads to drive on. To have a cohesive town workforce that feels that they can speak up and solve problems when they arise so that they can be safer and happier and healthier. As it stands now, town employees work very hard to provide quality work and services for the residents in Elkton. But think of how much better that it could be when they have a dedicated avenue to collaborate with the board and the administration to improve what's already there. When you talk about making improvements to the merit scale or policies, That is very nice, and your willingness to problem solve is greatly appreciated. We all know that this board is willing to make things better for the workers now, but what happens in 5 years, or in 10 years, or when a new board comes along? Employees like my husband want the right to sit down and negotiate so that improvements can be long-lasting. Their experience and their opinions will help make services better for the residents for years to come. Like I said, he doesn't just work here. We live here, we raise our family here, we do everything here. Like so many families, we just want to continue to build our lives here. So I'm counting on you all to make the right decision for the town and its residents, and for families like ours and our futures, by listening to the workers and passing this charter amendment so that everyone can get back to focusing on what matters most to all of us, making this town the best place to work and live.
Thank you so much.
Who's that precious little princess with you?
That's my daughter Hayden, my stepdaughter Hayden, Jenny's daughter.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Could you sign that for us, please?
And Mrs. Kistler, may I please take the copy of your statement for the record of minutes?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I'll call on you here in a minute, John. Did you want to speak?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm going to come to you guys as soon as I go to everyone in the audience in here first.
Fair enough, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience want to come down? Come on down. But I will come to the Zoom meeting second.
Hi, my name is Devin Barker. I am coming to you as a member of the Department of Social Services, so I don't live in Elkton, but I work in Elkton. So for address-wise, do you want me to give my work address?
Social services is fine, and if I could have a copy of your statement, that'd be
Sure.
great.
My name is Devin Barker, and I work at the Department of Social Services, serving the northern region. I live outside the town limits, but the majority of the people I serve are residents of Elkton or have been displaced in Elkton. I'm also our union shop steward. I wanted to take my lunch hour to come here to share with you how being a union member has impacted the quality of my work I'm able to provide. I got into social work to help underserved and marginalized populations find their voices, arm them with resources, and empower them to create safe living environments for themselves and, more importantly, for children. The nature of this work puts us at risk of burnout and high turnover rates. At times, I am not always able to initiate self-care for myself with increasing caseloads, but I find relief in knowing my rights, voice, and passion are protected by my union. When my union invests in me, I am restored and can continue to serve and invest in my community at the best of my ability. If my coworkers and I didn't have the right to collective bargaining, our clients wouldn't have the same advocates they have now. Since entering my role as shop steward, I've been able to manage internal relations when issues are brought up. I have a good relationship with my supervisors and the administration, and collective bargaining strengthens our ability to work together and understand each other because we operate in formal processes that allow for dignity and respect on all sides when solving problems or talking about issues. As a proud union member, I've seen greater transparency and improved morale when we know problems workers have are being taken seriously on all levels, which ultimately improves our services for residents. I believe that all employees should have a voice at work and the right to have a seat at the table to speak up for themselves and protect the work they value. I am asking the board to pass a charter amendment and expand collective bargaining to the employees who make our town thrive. I know you value the development and betterment of this town. I am asking the board to invest in the workers who invest their time, lives, and expertise into bettering this town every day.
Thank you so much. Who do we have next? Come on down. Hello, Mickey.
My name is Mickey Ziegler. I am a secretary in Elkton's Building and Zoning Department, and I do the permits. I work in Town Hall. I'm also a town resident. I live in Patriot Glen, and I've lived here my whole life. I've worked for the town of Elkton for over 17 years, and I'm asking for your support in amending the town charter to expand collective bargaining rights to non-sworn town employees. We are frontline employees that do crucial work. Coming together as a union will ensure we're able to continue to do our jobs at the highest level. It will allow us to address core concerns like our equipment, staffing, and the most effective and efficient ways to do our work. Push collective bargaining to a referendum would ignore what most of your employees and the residents that support us are telling you. Instead, we want a collaborative relationship to start as soon as possible so we can focus on doing our best work. We are excited to have a seat at the table and a voice in our work so we can ensure our jobs stay ones that we value going forward. That starts with a charter amendment and beginning the process to expand collective bargaining to all non-sworn town employees.
Thank you.
You know, life, we want a seat at the table so we can, you know, make this place better. You guys met my family and most of it, and, you know, we just wanna do better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Come on down.
Hello, my name is Krista Brown. I live on Park Circle in Elkton. I'm here today on my lunch break to say I support collective bargaining for these town employees, and I urge you to pass the charter amendment to enable them to have their rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista. Anyone else in the audience? Okay, let's turn to the Zoom meeting. Mr. John Dixon, I think you're still there.
I am, sir, thank you.
All right, John.
Today, I'm here to speak in favor of an expedited collective bargaining charter amendment for the town employees, non-sworn employees, primarily for three reasons. It builds professionalism, it ensures safety, and it helps with cost. Through collective bargaining, the employees can gain status through collective bargaining with town administration, local businesses and agencies to work towards a common goal and work professionally to improve the quality of their work. Further, the contract allows the town to budget and plan budgets in the future. It also offers stability for the town and its workers, and it's cheaper for the town in the long run. Finally, by negotiating working conditions and advising the town administration of potential work-related hazards, the process makes the employees safer and more appreciated, and will save the town costly litigation down the line. So we're in favor of an expedited charter amendment for non-sworn town employees.
Thank you, John. Anyone else on the Zoom meeting have a comment? Very good. Thank you all for your input today, and we're going to have the second meeting on September the 6th at 6 p.m. here at Town Hall. Thank you guys so much. All righty. Next we have a bid opening. Come on down, Dan Hanley. Thank you all for coming in. I'm not sure if the employees, I will bring this up real quickly. We are going to go over a merit scale today very shortly. So if you wanted to stick around and listen to the merit scale, you're certainly welcome to. Okay, Dan, you're up. All right.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. The town of Elkton solicited bids for solid waste management trash recycling collection for the 5-year period from November 1st, 2023 to October 31st, 2028. The town received bids from the following companies: Republic Services, Trash Tech, and Waste Industries. I request that the bids be broken down year by year to facilitate the annual budgeting of the projected costs and increases. I'll read the average monthly and yearly bids from each company. I'll ask for the board's approval contingent upon review by the town's engineer. So that's where it's So what I'd like to do is, we have a very comprehensive RFP, I will say that, because it's like 20 pages, it took a lot to do. I'd like to personally thank Brian McQueen and Tracy Gowdy and Jim Taylor for giving my assistance in putting this thing together after this bid. With that in mind, we'll open the bids. Okay?
Can I ask you, quick, Waste Industries, is that separate from Waste Management?
Yes, Waste Industries is separate from Waste Management, that's correct.
So,
They're not big.
so Waste Management did not bid?
That's correct.
Okay.
Huh.
The first bid is from Republic Services. Public Services bid for the years 1 through 5, November 1st, 2023 to October 31st, 2028. An average monthly cost of $146,614.33. Average yearly cost for years 1 through 5 would be $1,759,372. That's Republic Services.
Dan, the $7,759,372, that's an annual amount?
Yes, that is the average yearly cost for years 1 through 5, that's correct. Yes, sir. Second bid is from Trash Tech LLC. Trash Tech bids for the 2023 to 2028 period. Average monthly cost will be $115,826.31. The average yearly cost for the first 5 years will be $1,389,915.69. That is Trash Tech. I should tell the board that we have 4,655 units. Yes, I do.
How many units was it?
4,655.
And Dan, what are we currently paying about per month?
Right now, you're currently paying $11.55.
So $11.55
That's
times.
what you're paying now.
So we're paying $11.55. I just want the $11.55 times $46.55. We're currently paying $53,000, so everything that's coming in is twice of what
Yes,
we're currently paying.
yes. And the other thing I should remind the board before I open the third bid is, we also include the actual dumping, the tipping fees are on us. So this is just for the collections. Same thing with this particular contractor.
So the tipping fees are about $500,000 a year?
Last year, your tipping fees and landfill fees were $500,000, $509,500. That was from that's what the budget is this year, $500,000, $509,550. That's just the landfill fees.
The landfill fee for July was $39,386.89, that's my check for that. So you're talking serious money, John.
Yeah.
In addition to the collection service.
Yes. The third bid's from Waste Industries. Also does business in Casella Waste. I think they're also Green for Life. I think they've also been called local for that as well, so. The average from Waste Industries, average monthly cost would be $107,425.50. Average yearly cost would be $1,289,106. That's the yearly cost from years 1 through 5. That's Waste Industries.
Very good. You haven't had an opportunity to
No.
review anything,
No, I
so.
will review it first, I guess.
Okay, so we need you to review it, but just to let the board be aware, at this point, the pickup, the collection has doubled what we're currently paying.
Almost triple.
Well, we were 50, yeah, could be a triple, could be a triple. So, just wanted to make everyone aware of that.
It's horrible.
You want to point out that includes total stuff.
Yes, that does include the toters, yes.
I was gonna say, does
Yes.
that
Yes.
make a significant difference, you think, in the bids?
Not the bids. The way the bids are set up is it's a 5-year contract with 5 one-year options. The 5-year contracts, they include the cost of the toters in that one. So that's the way bidders themselves are incorporating the cost of the
So
toters.
every household gets 2 toters?
Every toter, yes, every household will get one 96-gallon trash and one 96-gallon recycling.
They're the big ones.
Yeah, they're the big ones, exactly. And the other way we set up other parts of the contract is, you know, we take with carts only, so we set that way. So it's gotta be in the cart so they can actually empty out that way. So that's why we have carts. We also have the capability of the residents buying additional carts, buy additional one for the second service, that is out there as well. They use it.
So if you have someone,
Mhm.
say elderly,
Mhm.
that can't pull that 96-gallon tote, and they put out their trash can, what would happen?
We could, contractually, we also have it where if they were to go from a 96 to a 64, we have that in the contract itself where they can switch out. the
They
same
can go
cost.
smaller?
They can go smaller, yes.
But not use their own totes on wheels?
Correct. Because the reason why is because the toters that come out there, they're heavier duty plastic, they can handle the automation.
Are they all automated?
Yes.
So
I think
we're gonna-
most of them are automated. When we're the successful bidder, we'll start looking into the other cameras to see what's what, but initially, that's why the whole thing's prices up for automation.
So we'll do like, we'll have to do neighborhood education.
Yeah.
Sam,
Yes.
I'd like to know the cost it would cost us to do our own trash pickup.
You need to purchase a truck.
Purchase truck.
It would be like
Oh,
$500,000.
let me ask my question first. I know the first time this came up, we talked about the liability and all that stuff. We're already tripled our cost. Now, the cost you to buy a truck, and our DPW, they're already going behind, the trash people picking up the trash behind them. Let me finish my statement. We're already paying them to do somebody else's work. What I wanna know is how much it costs for us to run our own trash pickups.
Realistically.
I want no numbers, I don't want no guessing. Figure it out just like everything else, and give me the cost.
One of the problems, Commissioner, isn't to simply, we could price out some equipment, you know, dumpsters and everything, but you couldn't get the equipment right away. You wouldn't have enough time here to have equipment and people trained to use it by November 1st. You would not be able to do that. The option would be to contract for a shorter period of time, then if the board decides to buy equipment and labor to deal with this, that would be another option. But it'd be very, very expensive because it's not walking behind and picking up trash bags anymore. These mechanical arms that have one person in the truck. The trucks are extremely, I don't know if you get one for $1 million or not. You're lucky if you do.
That
They're more
probably that,
expensive
Jeff,
than,
you would have to hire another 12 to 15 people. There's a lot to go with this one. And look at the amount we're actually dumping. I think last year, we had like over 500, I don't think over 5,000 tons or something. I mean, I can't give you the actual numbers, but we generate a lot of trash. It's not just a one-man operation. It's taking a big concerted effort. Because you got 4,655 residents, so that's a lot.
Well, I don't wanna see the DPW workers behind a trash truck following behind them. Would it be, say, 6 more months? If that's the case, we make sure that the company's paying them for their time as well as following behind them. I'm just pointing out where I'm from. I'm tired of seeing it in the town of Elkton, us coming and doing double work and paying out the dollars.
Yeah.
So whatever it costs, it comes out, you have to figure out the difference. I think that company needs to be paying us back.
This is why we're doing a comprehensive review, not just the numbers. We have to we have to look at customer service, other examples they had out there, these are the people we have to research to feel what,
Yes.
this is a big deal, so that's why, we could
Isn't
continue
there a
everything.
performance bond too?
Yes, there was a performance, yes, there's a one-year performance bond in the contract, so in theory, if the trash company would, for no belly, we actually have a mechanism to get somebody else in there and pay for it, so we have performance bond as well.
Very good. Any questions or comments? Dan, you're gonna get back to us at the next meeting?
That'll be faster than that.
Okay.
Did Waste Management not want to put in a bid, or did we not accept a bid from them?
They did not want to put a bid.
I'm surprised.
I thought Waste Management was in there the other day, maybe they didn't put a bid in.
They declined.
They declined to
I
bid.
know they brought something in.
Yeah, right, they declined to bid. Which,
Interesting. All right, thanks, Dan.
thank you, Mayor, thank you, Board.
Okay, next up, we got CGI Communications. I think anyone in the house, or are they all on the Zoom? Hello, Ally.
Hi, how are
The floor is yours.
I guess for the update, we're filming next week. The dates are scheduled for, or maybe in 2 weeks, the 30th and the 31st. So there will be a videographer in town, getting footage for the video series that we're working on. For anyone not familiar, we're doing a series of 4 different videos to highlight Elkton. A welcome video featuring, featuring the mayor, introducing the video, and then a video focusing on quality of life. We'll highlight, local shops, the historic district, some of the public schools and colleges, the hospital in the area. Then doing a video on economic development, highlighting various aspects there. And then a 4th video on parks and recreation and tourism in the area. So again, we'll be in town on the 30th, 31st. It's 2 weeks out from today, doing the filming. And then after we film, the videos will be edited. Editing only takes a few weeks. And then we'll be looking to get the video series live onto the Elkton homepage website. So that's kind of where we're at currently.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any questions anyone had for me to answer.
Well, I guess one of the questions I have, and I'm not sure if it was your division or whom was involved. I know that there was, CGI went out and solicited some of the businesses to participate. I guess my concern is, could someone reach out to those businesses and make them aware that we're ready to do the shooting? Do the filming?
Yeah.
Because I've had calls that they're worried about their money.
Right, absolutely. So the person from CGI that is going to be signing businesses up for the program, his name is Tyler. Tried to have him on this meeting today. He's on vacation, unfortunately, but happy to give him an update. He definitely knows we're going to be filming in the next 2 weeks. So, yeah, any businesses that wanted to be a part of the project, he can reach out to them, bring them up to speed on kind of where we're at. Yeah.
I think that was my main concern, because I did have a couple people. And just so the board is aware, love to have you there, all dressed up, looking great. May be able to get you in the picture.
Yeah, be wearing your best dresses.
Yes, let's look good.
30th, 31st.
So we're going to be going around doing filming throughout the area. There's a script. I think everyone kind of has a script. They should be in your packet. It gives a little bit of the script, the different scenes, and but very good. Does anyone from the board have any comments in regards to this? Allie, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you for the update. All right, Mr. Andy Rodriguez, come on down and talk about the merit plan and wage scale. How you doing, Andy?
Good. Good afternoon. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Here.
Should I give you two
Yeah.
copies?
He hasn't checked it.
Thank you.
Okay. May I begin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So I just wanted to report to the board that I did have a discussion with the town administrator and the directors, and we looked at the issue. The big issue, I think, for the wage scale is not particularly the wage scale itself, but how different policies are implemented surrounding that. Kathleen, can you go to the next page? So,
Before you begin, you want to define what you're talking about in so many words, just simply stating what a merit plan is for not only us, because we met with you, for those people who might be sitting in from on the outside, and exactly what the wage scale is. You can just define it, then you can go into your report, if you will.
sure. So we have a wage scale for the non-sworn. We have 13 grades, and we have a starting point, a midpoint, and a max point. The sworn and EPD actually have a wage scale. They have a step process, but they also have they have a midpoint, so to speak, and a max. The starting point to the midpoint on the civilian wage scale is actually 35% higher. On the EPD, it's 23%. So the midpoint on the civilian is greater. The max point on the civilian wage scale is 70% max from the starting rate. On the EPD side, it's 55%. So there is greater range there. It's the application of those wage scales that are in question. The biggest thing that in the year and 8 months I've been working for the town, that I've heard from employees that work here a year and a half, 2 years to 30 years, is really the annual increases that are announced every year. The biggest thing I think for employees are wages and benefits. I'm going to kind of share with you what my thoughts on the benefits that the town provides. As an employee, I am grateful for it, but there are some things to consider with the benefits. But one of the things is I'm going to propose a policy to implement to the board for the employees, on behalf of the employees, to make things more clear. Kathleen, do you mind going to the next slide? So first of all, let's just go over the benefits. Personally, I've never experienced a benefit package like this. I think it's terrific for a non-profit organization, because that's what a government is. It's not for profit. I hope you don't mind, Commissioner Pioneer, I did a comparison to W.L. Gore's listing right on their website, and we actually compete pretty well. There's certain things that we don't have, of course. We don't have stock ownership for the employees that W.L. Gore does, but for example, W.L. Gore offers 11 holidays a year. We offer 12. Actually, the board gave us 13 this year. We have 24 hours of personal time. W.L. Gore only has 1 floating day, so we exceed there. The unlimited time of accrual of vacation sick time is I don't think Gore has that. And it's just to give you an example, for a for-profit compared to a non-profit, we do pretty well. And there's just some listings of benefits that the town offers to the employees.
And we've never had a cap?
Not that I'm aware of. I've only been here a year and 8 months, but I don't think there's ever been a cap.
So they can just, it's not even, huh? I think you probably accumulated, what, 10 years of vacation? But it's not a use it or lose it
Correct.
policy that we have.
No. It's only when they leave, let's say they have 2,000 hours of vacation,
they're only eligible for 192 hours when they leave to be paid out. Okay?
Okay.
But these are some lists of different benefits that the town offers, just a sampling. Can you
Well,
move on?
yeah, I want to understand it. Okay.
So, and these are actually employee wages. I redacted their names, and there is also resource material there in that packet. I'm not going to go through the whole packet, but I'm just going to give you a high-level overview. So someone who's making, for example, this is an actual employee making $17.68 an hour. If they work 40 hours a week, their annual income is $37,000. This particular employee, with the benefits, not including all the PTO time, not including the 401A, 8% the town puts in for us, and all those other benefits, just for the actual health insurance and other dental and vision. If you translate that into actual money, that employee is actually getting paid $24.06 an hour, and approximately making $50K a year. So these are examples. Every example is an actual real employee and what it translates to dollars. We do have to do a better job of management to communicate this. And all due respect to the employees, my fellow employees, a lot of times they don't see value in it because if they don't use it, they're not getting the value, right?
Right.
What they're worried about is, can I feed my family? Can I afford to pay the rent? And that's really the big issue, is the wages. And it was actually mentioned in a couple meetings by a couple of the employees that we don't really know what we're going to get from year to year. It's a guessing game. So there's anxiety that builds up, and I don't blame them for that. So that to me is the real concern. With the EBD wage scale, they have 16 steps. I already mentioned their midpoint and max is not as large as the civilian wage scale, but they do have a 3% as long as those appraisals are done every year and that employee is performing at a satisfactory level, they're eligible for a 3% increase. And so what I believe the employees, what I've heard for a year and 8 months from many different employees is that they're just asking for the same consideration, 3%, at minimum, separate from the COLA. Do you mind going to the next? So this is the actual policy in the handbook. It says compensation increases are given by the town at its discretion in consideration of various factors, including an overall satisfactory performance review. So to me, that's kind of vague, and that's why I'm proposing a more a policy that's more detailed on how we execute the wage scale itself, how we deal with situations when someone maxes out, how we deal with situations where a person's job may change and there might be where they're actually more expected of that job than there was before 5 years ago, that they may be reconsidered to move from one grade to a next. So I'm proposing that we use those methodologies to make sure that our employees are paid fairly and it's equitable across the board. Do you mind going on to the next slide? So in part of that packet, I actually have that proposed policy. I shared with each member of the board separately to give you a preview. But the bottom line is the biggest thing is that I'm proposing is that the board consider committing to a 3% merit increase separate from the COLA for all the employees for year to year, so they can at least count on that, hang their hat on that. That's the impression I'm getting from the employees, and not only the employees that have been here for a short term, but employees that have been here for years. Could you go on the next slide? I think that's it. Does anyone have any questions? Any clarification?
No, I think personally, this is what I had been hoping for a while ago. I like your proposal so far.
In every position, I will do my due diligence, and to make sure that every position is appropriately graded by doing the research. I'm grateful for the town because I have a lot of salary benchmarking tools available to me that I didn't have in my prior position. I appreciate that. Through Chesapeake Employer Insurance, they actually They actually bring in all the data on a national, state, and county level to make sure that certain positions are properly in the proper pay range. So I will do that every year, and will alert the director, town administrator, and the board when that particular position or positions are not appropriately in the same, in the proper range, so that we can make that correction.
So an employee can, if they need to, should be able to go to their manager, department head, whatever, and get even a printout of their particular salary
Yes.
and how it will change from 1 year to 2 years to 3 years.
Correct.
Okay.
And they could always come to HR too, if they need that as well.
The other scale, even though it's a better scale,
Yes.
you know, they actually do better than
Yes.
the police, is vague, in
Yes.
my opinion.
And the only thing I forgot to mention to you, Commissioner Jean, is that if the board does a separate COLA besides the merit,
Right.
it's in the policy that the wage scale would change according to that, similar to what we do with the EPD. So if the COLA is 3% and the merit 3%, the employees at the performance review or appraisal will be eligible for 3%, but if there's a COLA that's approved, that wage scale, the start, mid, and max would increase as well. That's written into the policy.
So Andy, the merit increase is up to the department head.
In the policy, Mayor, I'm glad you brought that up. It's up to the department head and manager to complete the appraisal, and so that they can justify that this employee is performing at a satisfactory level or above to warrant that 3%. If that employee is performing below satisfactory overall, then that 3% merit is put on hold until another review is done and remedial training is done to bring that employee back up to a satisfactory level, and then they will be eligible for 3%.
So I would almost see that there needs to be a 6-month review and maybe a 12-month review, because the worst thing in the world that would happen would be you get to month 11 and the employee is not meeting expectations and feeling that they should be getting their 3% and they didn't have enough notice.
This is true. In the HR world, it's called regular check-ins or mini appraisals, Mayor. You can do one other, or you can do multiple.
I was gonna say, I think I'm looking at it the other way. Like, if I'm an employee and I'm due for a 3% raise, but my performance is a little wonky, I would like the opportunity to get that 3% a little sooner than 6 months. You know, maybe even a 3-month check-in, something, to say, how are you doing?
Right.
Andy, didn't you mention that there would be a probation period of 3 months?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's
So
written in the policy.
That would be a 3-month review?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's digest this.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Appreciate it.
No, I told you when we met, it's your responsibility that there's no crosshairs between explaining what's going on between you and the department manager. As a matter of fact, I recommended to you, and you said you would do that, have a portion of people, employees that you will meet with, discuss, and then another group you meet with, and that way no hairs or anything of that unturned.
I agree with that, Commissioner. I think that it's very important for the Human Resource Department to work in concert with the directors to communicate topics such as this to the employees, so there's no confusion.
Right, so they don't hear two messages. They hear
Right.
one particularly coming from you. And even that would be a review for the department managers as well.
Correct.
Okay.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the board needs to make a decision whether they'll accept Andy's recommendations for policy, otherwise it's just a matter of discussion. I mean, are you going to accept that?
Well, are you asking us to move forward with it then?
Yes, I mean,
Do you guys feel comfortable? I know you've met with Andy. You ready to go? You
Yeah, I
guys
think
ready?
closer to the anniversary date we get, the better.
Well, and we will be doing appraisals, Commissioner Jean, on a calendar year basis, so all appraisals should be done by the end of May. And with a look back of the calendar year prior to that, and with that, if all the appraisals are completed and are satisfactory involved, for the next fiscal year, the employees, with the approval of the board, would get that 3% merit, separate from the COLA.
Do we have a motion to accept Andy's recommendation on the merit plan and wage scale?
So moved. Forward, so moved.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing? Oh, go
I
ahead.
would like to go what Gene mentioned about the evaluations. Maybe we could do the 3-month evaluation that will allow you to see whether an employee is satisfactory or whatever. And then that 6 month, that they would know that they're getting that raise or whatever within that 6 months. And then the next evaluation would be on the 3rd quarter. That way it'd give them time between that and the end of the year to allow whether or not they've got another increase.
Well, there's another way, Commissioner, that you can do this, is that, well, first of all, this is the first year that we had a big response in getting the appraisal done. I think I applaud all the directors and managers in getting them done. It was a first beginning year. We can try to work toward that. I definitely believe that if a director or manager believes that an employee is not working to their potential, they should not be waiting until the annual appraisal. They should be doing it a couple times throughout the year. There should be coaching, counseling, training way beforehand. So I would suggest that we take baby steps with that. We can try to do that, but at least those employees that are not performing at the level they should be, there should definitely be 3, 6 month, or 9 month appraisals, so that by the time they get to the annual, nothing is a surprise.
I would agree. Okay, we had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Very good.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mike Devine, come on down. Charlie, for a second.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
You want to wait till they clear out, then we can hear you. You got something you want to add, Andy?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're ready for you, sir.
Commissioners, I've been asked to just give you a little update on voice over IP. We talked about it before that in 2025, we're going to have to do something with the elimination of copper phone lines. Been working hard on it. We have some solutions. We're moving forward on some different companies that can provide the best service to you. The good news is this is going to cut, whoever we use is going to cut your phone bill in half. And looking at all the bills for all the departments, we're currently spending about $4,000 a month, and it looks like we're pretty much going to cut that in half.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So,
You don't hear that much. I was gonna say, I had to hear it twice. Yeah.
we've worked very hard over the past couple of years to wire the buildings for voice over IP, and we've pretty much done that everywhere in all the departments. So we're moving forward. There's very little capital cost to it, because in most of these arrangements, you're just signing a lease, or the town signing a lease, and the equipment is included.
How does that affect Parks and Rec and DPW?
They would be all part of, my goal is to have a system that's all integrated.
Yes, yes. There's nothing worse than calling town hall and being told you have to hang up and dial a different number for DPW. Especially if you don't have a pencil to write it down.
Yes.
I mean, it's
So the systems.
antiquated. It's, okay.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
So these systems would be, you can transfer a call to other departments. A department, I'll just use an example, like Parks and Recs, everybody's going out of it to a meeting and you want to transfer the calls, you can transfer all the calls back to the front desk here.
That would be good.
They all have all the features features where you can forward phones to your cell phone if you choose to do that while you're at lunch. So basically, it's a matter of finding the best solution for the town and moving forward.
How soon will this happen?
It could happen in 30 to 90 days.
Let's get it done, what do you think?
I'm in agreement to get it done, I'll move forward. I'll see the change.
That's it, unless you got questions.
No, I love it. I think we started this, we had some fellas in for interview, or they came in, I guess it's probably been a year and a half, 2 years ago, and talked a little bit about this, and it's something we talked about at MML when we were down there, and it's kind of a no-brainer. It's the way we have to go. Our phone systems are out of date. I mean, they're before the, what was the brand of phone we have?
We have the Via.
Yeah,
It's another nice thing is going to be if we were in a situation where we had power failure or internet, am I correct, internet failure as well, we could still have our phones answered by a dedicated cell phone.
perfect.
Awesome.
Gene Miller has a question.
Gene Minner?
Is there a capacity with the equipment to have an earpiece so that you're not tied to holding onto a phone line if I'm digging for plans or having to go into another room to get something while I'm talking to somebody? Is there an opportunity for that?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Nice. All right, let's get it done. Thank you,
I have
Mike.
a
Oh,
question.
yeah.
I do have a question. I'm not sure how you want to proceed. We, as the police department, our phones have been down halfway, like we don't have any voicemail right now, and we're taking messages, and I kind of brought this up when we started looking at a couple different companies. Verizon was one, and then Mike has a company that he's looking at.
If I can add to that?
Yeah.
When Mike and I talked about it after your phone system went down, in my mind, when we talked about all of this, I think administration, Parks and Rec, and the other departments should be able to transfer between our departments, but not EPD, you're standalone. And in my mind, I think you should just, I know you've looked at Verizon, if you guys go with Verizon now, that's it. We're just from our own, the other department, so to speak. We wanted to have a uniform vendor so that we could do that transfer back and forth, but EPD is standalone.
And we're okay if we're all together.
Yeah.
And I don't care who we go with, that's kind of where we're at, we just need to make a decision.
Understood, and that's why I was saying, if you can get Verizon in here tomorrow, I think you should do it, instead of waiting that 30 to 90 days. And that was the conversations that we had had all along, just to get you all up and running.
And if you wanted to go with the other solution, as we discussed, we can make that happen rapidly too.
Okay. Back to you.
I just didn't know, like, so we had a meeting and then there was representatives from every department that
Yes.
offered to be there.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if a decision had been made. Are you
And it
open
was
on
in
it
that,
or not?
it
or-
was in that
Do you
meeting
just
with the
need-
different departments that I had said, and then subsequently said, I think EPD's got to just get it done because what you're facing.
Okay. Coffee out
Is the Alliance office on Hardwire, or are you on voice?
They're on Comcast.
So why wouldn't we include them? Can we? I mean, because we get calls up here wanting to transfer down to the Alliance. Does that make sense?
We could.
It should be a savings.
Yeah, I just actually renegotiated with Comcast because evidently nobody's done that in forever, and I just cut our bill significantly, but if we can cut it even more, I'm happy to do so. Or if the town would like to cover our phone bill, that would be great too.
And we'd like to have a hotline right to Commissioner Piner's house if we could.
I got my cell phone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, Lou, you're on.
Okay, the first item of ordinance 6, 2023, the board, this was introduced at the meeting on the 2nd. It adds different equipment, and I'll read under the section, maximum time permitted. Person shall not park or leave unattended any trailer, boat, trailer, camping trailer, fifth wheel trailer, pole trailer, semi-trailer, or travel trailer, mobile home, or a park model recreation vehicle, as defined in Maryland Transportation Article Title 11, upon any street, parking lot, or other land owned by the town of Elkton for a period exceeding 48 hours. I think that pretty much captures everything but a NASA space vehicle. The other one is no trailer, boat trailer, camping trailer, fifth wheel trailer, pole trailer, semi-trailer, travel trailer, mobile home, or a park model recreation vehicle, also as defined in the Maryland Transportation Article Title 11, shall not be used by any person as a dwelling house in case of a boat or sleeping place while parked upon any street, parking lot, or other land owned by the town of Elkton. This pretty much captures, I think, what the board wanted to do in terms of restricting the number of vehicles, including campers and mobile homes down in Howard Street parking lot or other parking lots owned by the town. This does not affect parking on private property, only public property, because we don't guarantee that.
We have a motion to accept for adoption ordinance 6-2023.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? The only discussion I have is I wanted everyone aware that the RV is parked in front of the American Legion. Lewis's RV is parked, not your RV, but
My RV's not there.
yeah, he's parked in front of the American Legion, or he was. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item, resolution R10, 2023. A copy of this has been provided to the board recently, and today I think you should have it in front of you. Basically, this resolution amends the resolution 8, 2020 that was adopted that establishes what's called a rate and method of apportionment for special taxes in the special taxing district for the Southfields project. So basically, all this is a change in the rate and method of apportionment for taxes based on classifications set forth in this document. And I would recommend that the board enact, pass, or whatever, approve this resolution R10, 2023.
We have a motion to,
Establish the new RMA.
do we have a motion to accept resolution R10-2023?
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries.
The next item I have is a amendment to the lease. The Maryland Rural Development Corporation rented property, or leased property actually, from the town of Elkton in Hollingworth Manor back in 2016. And since that time, the Paris Foundation has sought and received a permission from the town to sublet, or allow Maryland Rural Development Corporation to sublet that property. However, we want to have established a lease agreement specifically with the Paris Foundation to develop that property. In conjunction with that, McCrone did a survey that allocated or segregated 1.194 acres from that 4.5 acre parcel there. And that would be the lease property. The Maryland Rural Development Corporation executive management has been made aware of this, and they agree 100% that they would agree to this amendment that segregates out a portion of that ultimately will be leased to the Paris Foundation. I would ask the board to approve the amendment to lease to the Maryland Rural Development Corporation current lease agreement. I think Mr. Downs has looked at this and theoretically given us okay on it. Yep.
Do we have a motion to approve the amendment to the lease with the Maryland Rural Development Corporation, and we'll let Lou handle it?
I'd so move on that.
A motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The last item is just a mention item, the Maryland Department of Transportation, the Highway Administration actually has issued notice to proceed to a contractor to develop a pedestrian bridge and some sidewalk improvements on Delaware Avenue. And as we of yesterday, they haven't broken any ground yet, but it should be before too long, have a contractor move in and start work in that area. Sidewalk be extended from Main Street down Delaware Avenue to where a pedestrian bridge will be erected, and then across there will be a bridge to go into Meadow Park that will allow a safe access to the park from the town rather than crossing over the bridge. It's been a long struggle. I'm probably more than 10 years I've been involved in trying to get this done, but we finally conceded, and I guess they have some money and they're going to build this bridge for it. So I just want to mention that to the board, and I'll keep you updated as that progress, that construction ensues.
Thank you, Lou. A couple weeks back, we had a presentation about leasing vehicles. During the presentation, it was Enterprise Services came in, and at the end of the day, it wasn't a huge annual cost savings to the town, but what it did do was it was able to produce newer vehicles for the employees, new and more current model years. So I guess what I want to ask the board, do we want to pursue this any further? Do we want to try to gain some more information, or do we want to continue to do the things that we're doing, the way we're doing it now, just purchase them outright, or what's the thoughts?
Well, it sounds to me like the savings is not significant, but it is a savings. We also get newer vehicles. Is that summing up correctly?
That's the way I kind of read into it. Chief, what was your comment?
So since that meeting, I've actually, at a chief's meeting, talked to several people. I know the county has gone to this, and I believe Perryville. Perryville told me that they haven't really had any issues. They don't really care. Like, either way, it's fine for them. They get their new cars and they move on. The sheriff's department's had some issues, however. And some of their issues, they've been waiting on K-9 con for a really long time. Like, we don't usually experience those kind of issues, so it's a little concerning to me to have that. I asked some questions in here that day, and they were based off of preliminary conversations that I had. The answers were a little different than what the people that are actually experiencing this are experiencing out in the field. And I do know, like, I expressed that day some concern about just taking our cars to, I don't want to name any of the places, but randomly anywhere that is an approved provider by them, because you never know. If we, we kind of laugh because if we arrested them, you don't know what it is. And I know we've had some hiccups with our current, in some upfitting and different things, but we trust our mechanics. We know that they are not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize us. And so there's something to be said for that. Scheduling is very easy for us right now. I can tell you that the county, because they already have like a fleet service provider, they actually did get them approved as a vendor for them, and that's how they handled this issue. So I'm very reluctant. We have the newest fleet we've ever had, and I know that's because you guys have been very diligent in making sure that that we have what we need. But on the other side of that, they talked about cost of resale costs. Well, right now, you can buy a used car. You can't get a used car. You can always buy a new one for the cost you're paying for these. So I think that kind of factors into it too. I actually had talked to Dan too, and asked him to talk to some of his cohorts, because I know the county did it like across the board. It wasn't just with their law enforcement. And I think when we've had talks, it was sort of the same sort of thing, right?
Exactly. The issue that my contact from the county level was having is, if you get a new vehicle, it's a third party. So basically, Enterprise will order it from somebody else. So there's no really quality control to see what's what versus us ordering what we want directly. So I agree with Chief Rogers. The system we have worked. The board's been generous, so that's why we choose not to pursue it in our opinion. So we corporate vehicles all day long. So.
Well, listen, your input's very important. You guys are the ones that's going to be involved. I would also, the only comment I would make is this board isn't going to always be the same board up here. And then it could be, I'm just looking at more of a long-term solution.
Well, and
And
my concern would be if you go to this, it's gonna be very difficult, because you're gonna lose all your equity that you have right now, you know, so it's gonna be very difficult to reverse that decision.
okay.
So that's where I'm a little hesitant.
Well, thank you for your input. So let's just table it for a little while. You guys all right with that?
Yeah, I mean, until the savings are significant.
It wasn't that there was a huge dollar other than the newer equipment. It just seemed like we would have, it went along with what my thinking was, always trying to keep the newer stuff in-house.
Yeah.
One of the things the board should be aware of, and you may not, is that we don't buy vehicles from dealers. We go through the Maryland contract. Maryland puts out contracts for example, police cars, and we buy it through a dealership, I think Church Creek now, that goes under the Maryland contract, because they've already negotiated prices with the state of Maryland.
Yeah.
And because we're a municipality, we can piggyback on this, as well as the county, piggyback on the state's negotiation for those vehicles and how they're equipped. And that's been very successful for us, and I think we have, like as Chief Rogers has said, we have the best up-to-date fleet right now because of that process we use.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
I had a discussion with Chip, our building inspector, and I'm trying to gain as much information I can about the fire that we had down on the corner, because there is some concerns about the safety of the building. It's always been our biggest concern, the safety of the building. So I guess I'm at kind of wit's end here, because we haven't received a final report from the fire marshal. We've heard some verbal information from the fire marshal. But I guess I don't know what our next step as a board is. Let's put some hypotheticals out there that we do get the report, and if it does come back as not, well, let's not even go hypothetical on that. Let's just say that the building is going to be an eyesore for months and years, because I just like to know what we think our direction, what we can do as a town to make sure that that building is sound. Can we ask the owners of that parcel to get a structural engineer in there and ask them to take a look at that building to see if it's somewhat safe or can be boarded up in some manner?
Why is it that the fire marshal has not been conclusive yet? There's still things that need to be done? Because obviously, I guess really like, and everybody's the same way, what happened?
I think that they've determined that it was, and I don't even want to use the word arson, because I think anytime someone throws something out there, I think that's considered the word arson. Now, I'm looking at some fire guys here. It doesn't, you know, but when you watch TV and you hear the word arson, it's like someone intentionally did it. This was not intentionally done. I think they've located the area where the fire started, but I think that their concern is they haven't found out what started the fire. They haven't concluded what started it.
How long does that take?
I don't know. These are things that, yeah.
It varies. It depends on the source of ignition, the amount of damage. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower. So,
Average?
They're working with ATF on it, so they've got a federal agency involved, which is normal.
sometimes that slows things down a
How do you pick them up? How do you do that?
Listen, I'm gonna ask your guys, I'm glad that you guys are here. This is a great time. From what you guys saw with boots on the ground, how bad is that building? Is your gut, it's structurally done?
It was bad before they had the fire.
And there are areas that
I don't
you
think
can
we
access
ever got
because
those
of the fire
lights.
or collapses that happen inside, so
So, and I'm not asking for your opinion, but hypothetically, that building could kind of collapse on its own at any point. Is that,
It's a pretty stout building, it's not modern buildings, I would say, yeah, but it's a pretty stout building. If it hadn't fallen down today, it's probably in pretty good shape. Then that's not to say it's occupiable,
yeah.
but it's not gonna fall into the street.
An accidental collapse.
Yeah, obviously, all the framework inside, the rafters, the joists, they're all burnt. But the brick and mortar and the foundation, that's kind of what we're waiting on, the structural engineer.
When we're fighting the fire, we don't really pay attention to that stuff, but the fire marshal does that. And we're kind of, we deal with the event as it's happening in front of us.
But I've had a lot of people ask me about that, and I told them, I assume,
I mean, that's a big concern.
I assume we're waiting on a structural engineer to come in, but is that in the works? Is that going to happen?
Well, who pays for that? I mean, that has to be paid for by the owners of the property.
The owners and their insurance.
The insurance.
Between them as to what their assessment is and the next steps, whether they demolish it,
Yeah, we're in a big pickle here.
Even if the insurance company says it's occupiable, doesn't mean that the owner has to do anything to it.
So really it falls on to the owner. Once the fire marshal has their determination, then it's up to the owner and insurance how we go.
I think once we find out what the determination is, I think that we need to put a little pressure on the ownership to get that structural engineer. Now, I also know that the Elkton Alliance has been kind of working on this too, and they actually got a quotation for a structural engineer to come in and take a look, which really, I didn't think it was really unreasonable.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't know if the owners of the parcel would pay for it, but I think that I'm not sure where this was gonna go, quite frankly, but I think at some point we need to know if that building's structurally sound or not, because there's pieces still falling off of it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's falling off every day. You go by there and if you clean up the sidewalk, there's more pieces that keep coming down. So it's very difficult for us to do anything. We gotta keep the fence up, per se, unless,
Are there codes in place that the town can enforce for the building owners to actually get that structural engineering, structural assessment?
I don't think we can do anything until there's a determination by the fire. We're not even allowed to touch it.
Yeah, normally that doesn't happen until they try to occupy it.
How is it that the bail bonds building they've been in there every single day working in that building? There hasn't been a determination yet. They've been in there for weeks.
That was the building department.
Yeah, I think that, Chip, can you answer that question?
Yes, they have permission from the fire marshal to be working on the building.
Thank you.
Even though there's not a determination on the cause of the fire?
Well, that's all I know. They have permission to be working on their building. That, as far as I understand, the investigation is done. They just have not put the report out. That's what Deputy Ewing has told me.
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to make the board aware that we're gonna have to take, I don't know how we're gonna take that. John, we're gonna lean on you to kind of tell us what we can do, because we can't have that thing sitting there like this. As soon as that determination comes in, we gotta make a decision. We need your help.
Well, he said it was done, didn't he? Chip said it was done.
Yeah, but they haven't released the report.
Chip, is there any idea of when they will release the report? Do you know?
No, they have not told me anything, other than it's, not released. I don't know what the delay is. I can, try to ask, but I don't know if they'll tell me anything.
Yes, would you please?
Sure.
Thank you.
I can actually, I know a little, I don't want to disclose it. Some of the information I know, it's inappropriate, but I will tell the board afterwards.
Alicia, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner.
Is there any way that we could help, I don't know, are we allowed to help you cover up that fencing in some way for the Fall Fest, or is there something planned?
We were actually gonna put corn stalks like at each of the posts to give them at least a little bit of I don't wanna draw attention to it, but we have lost probably close to 50 vendor spots due to the fencing being where it is, which is obviously a hit to our community, it's a hit to our revenue, our bottom line, it's a hit to the community's experience for Fall Fest as a whole. But being where the fence is, and even if it was on the sidewalk, that was my initial thought, I don't even know if that would be sufficient, because we still could put people in danger potentially, so, we're being very careful about that, but we've
So
probably
like
lost.
you're not putting people in front of it.
And we've also lost the back area, which is where our whole adventure zone was, and we are
Oh,
not
that's
able to
right.
use that area either due to the fencing behind the buildings.
Is there any businesses that allow us to use their parking lot?
We are looking into opportunities for using other spaces.
Could you put the food trucks in front of the fence? They're not too, pretty in the back anyway.
My last thing is I'm actually heading down. I'm going to leave hopefully by 2 o'clock to head to Ocean City for the Cecil County Economic Development conference, I guess, at Mako, but it's more of a happy hour, I guess. So I'm heading down, and I want the board to know that I'm actually meeting with the president of Medco, which is the Maryland Economic Development Company. I'll be meeting with him at 5 o'clock today, and I'll get more information in regards to how we could help put this thing together, or even if they're interested in putting this thing together. So this is there's been preliminary talks, but I'm gonna go down there. Any member of the board's welcome to go down with me. Have to share sleeping arrangements with me, but you're welcome. Okay. Don't do it. Okay, Gene, you're on.
No, good, good.
Charles?
I believe I'm good, other than the chief. Are we closer to finding more information out about the shooting at the dance?
I can tell you that the state team, did serve 2 search warrants out there. And then we were doing some interviews.
Yeah, and certainly I've
We have a
heard.
person of interest
Right,
that's identified.
right. That's it.
That's what we
That's it.
Robert?
I'd like to thank Andy for sitting down with us individually to explain the pay scale a little better. And I'd like to congratulate the Elkton Alliance on a very successful Elkton Alliance Day downtown. Everybody had a great time. That's it for me.
Could I ask?
Yeah.
Do you have an update on your father?
I stepped out earlier, I took a call, we're working on getting into rehab, so.
A particular one?
He'll be going down to Encompass down in Middletown, they specialize in strokes.
Oh, he had a stroke.
God bless you all. Yeah, the Middletown. Yeah, good one.
And listen, we're still working, just to let the Singerly Fire Company, we're still working on some language, we're bouncing some things around, but as you know, we're moving forward with it, but bear with us. I know we're still johnning it up.
Do we need some sort of vote to start the 40-day clock then?
Now, once we get, once we all agree on the language, then we're gonna vote on it.
We have to have a public hearing,
Yeah,
and then,
for a charter change, yes. Okay, this is the time we open up the floor for the public. Anyone have anything to say for the good of the town of Elkton? How about on the Zoom? Before I adjourn the meeting, I'd like to have a closed meeting to consult with counsel to obtain a legal advice on a legal matter. So, got a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned and we will not reconvene. I'd like to ask everyone to leave the room, please.